Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand. Available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight. This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Media Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission is to support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our Black community, Latino lesbians, and queer women, trans, student youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 38 years of LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
Let's begin by meeting tonight's panel. Up first, Mateo Ventura Bruer, the Executive Director of Aqua Foundation for Women. Mateo is proudly trans and Latine, and is Aqua's first transgender executive director. Let's welcome Adrianna Tender, the program coordinator with Trans Inclusive Group and owner of Tender Loving Care Trans Mentoring. She serves on the National Board of Governors of the Human Rights Campaign and is vice president of the Dolphin Democrats and is on the board of Black LGBTQ Liberation. Welcome, Adrianna.
Thank you so much for having me. And I want everyone to remember that on December 13th, the Dolphin Democrats will be having their holiday party. Make sure you get your tickets.
Fantastic. Now let's welcome Bodybuilder. Bonnie is the premier South Florida bodybuilding drag queen and the current reigning Mix Marys 2023. A recent graduate of FIU, she comes to life with a microphone and a spotlight. Welcome, Bonnie.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
And now let's welcome anchor Jamaal L. Starks. His South Florida professional name is Porcelain. He is vice president of Impulse Group, Chapter Miami, part of a global organization that helps connect gay and queer men. He is also a spiritualist and a model. Welcome, Jamaal.
Thank you, Paul.
We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today. Now let's queer up the USA View. Kansas Library, let's get that right, removes LGBTQ plus books to keep Lease. And an alarming development for the LGBTQ plus community in Kansas, the public library in the city of St. Mary's has removed all youth-oriented LGBTQ plus books from its shelves. a compromise so the library may secure its lease for another year. This decision was in response to pressure from St. Mary's City Commission. Under influence by the anti-LGBTQ religiously affiliated group named Society of St. Pius X, City Commissioner Gerard Kleinsmith had been particularly vocal in this debate, expressing his desire to terminate the library's lease due to the inclusion of transgender inclusive literature, which he derogatorily refers to as garbage. Despite claiming to oppose censorship, Kleinsmith and other commissioners, all members of the Society of St. Pius X, have made it clear that their religious views heavily influence their decisions regarding the library's content. Moreover, St. Mary's Mayor Matthew Childs, known for formulating a morals clause for the city's public library lease and his opposition to LGBTQ+ materials in the library, recently lost his bid for a seat on the USD 321 Kaw Valley School Board. His defeat in the school board election, where he campaigned against the inclusion of LGBTQ+ content in educational settings, reflects the ongoing cultural and political tensions in the region. And I have to say, you know, this story got added on because it was that important that we have this conversation. And, you know, I repeated the beginning part because I'm thinking library is where we go for books. Mm-hmm. And to say like a library is removing books just seems completely insane to me. Mm-hmm. I looked up this group, St. Anthony's Pius X, mm-hmm. and they are an unofficial and not recognized part of the Catholic Church that was started by some guy on his own who just decided to make his own little group and then start pushing their own personal hateful rhetoric. The thing that bothers me the most, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, is that these books are so important to our youth. Mm-hmm. Dealing with youth suicide and self-esteem and all these different issues. I work in healthcare. You know, we want to help, we want to support, and that's what the books are there for. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why this is so offensive to people, right? To help and support children, it's just, I just don't know.
When I was a little gay boy, which not that long ago, I went to the library and looked up the first book that said the word gay I could find. And it sort of not informed me, but it let me know like, oh, these feelings that I have are normal because people are writing about it, and to normalize that feeling. And it's going to be a great disservice to the young people in that area who don't have literature like this, which I don't think they have that much. They're not going to feel normalized because they don't have actual literature to read. I know they assume everybody's on TikTok nowadays, but like sometimes you just need like a tangible book to hide under your bed from your parents when you're just young and like still discovering yourself. Like, is this what I am? Right. Oh, I'm not a freak. Okay, work. Right. So that's going to be a huge disservice.
I think the proponents of these bans know deep down that this is not going to change anybody. They just want us to go back into the closet or not come out in the first place. So they think by withholding that information, it's going to make people not out and not proud.
And I think in the world of social media today, these 12 books, let's get that right, 12 books that they took off the shelf, and all of the taxpayers' money that they're using to have all these meetings, all these votes, over 12 books. The children can just go on social media and find that information. It's not like they're stopping anything.
Right. Yeah.
And if I read correctly, this particular library has 7 other locations, and it was a great compromise because all they really have to do, if they want those books for transgendered youth, is get it from one of their other locations and have it sent there. And they said that they could get it within 24 hours.
That's amazing.
So they're not stopping anything. It's completely ridiculous.
What's really bothering me is this sort of narrative and move that it has been seen across the country, because we just learned that New York, the New York City mayor, is now shutting down the libraries on the weekend. Like, the only time that children have to go to the library, or most people have to go to the library, he's shutting those down. And now we have books being removed from actual libraries. Like, that, if that doesn't undercut or really speak to what is going on in this country and that we have a real problem. I used to think that that movie that Michael B. Jordan played in, Fahrenheit 9/11, where they were burning all the books, I was like, this is a stupid movie. Why do they make something like this? And now it's happening. Like, it's literally happening in front of our eyes where books are being banned. It's like the stupid police are now taking over America.
Well,
It's the first step of fascism.
And they don't look like
First
Michael
of
B. Jordan, I'll
fascism.
say that.
And they really can't, like you pointed out, they really can't stop anything. So then I wonder to myself, why are you putting in so much effort to try to hurt children when they can go on TikTok? They can get it from the library. They can download anything onto their smartphone. So you're really putting in all this effort just to harm people, which really bothers me. Now, these are public officials. And the idea that they're publicly saying that their religion is what they're making their decisions on, not based on the position that they're holding, getting paid by tax dollars. I'm thinking someone should look into that and see if they're not violating any type of oath that they may have
I'm thinking
taken.
we need to vote them out. That's what we do.
I agree. And let's not even think about the fact that they said that there were other books that were banned and that were removed that were being a disturbance.
Right.
That were too woke. If you want to go there right now.
Right. So here we go. Stay woke. Go ahead, Mateo.
Next, let's queer up business. London's historic GAY bar closes over concern on safety from attackers. A major part of the London gay scene is about to disappear with the shuttering of longtime favorite club GAY Late. And according to a social media announcement by the owner, Jeremy Joseph, violence against the club patrons and staff is part of the reason for the closure. The club is located in London's Soho district, which is located in the borough of Westminster. The venue, which has been going under its current name since the early 90s, is one of the relatively few in London to hold a license until 4 a.m. Those hours, together with the site's relative isolation and rising rates of anti-LGBTQ+ crime, meant that the safety of employees and clubgoers alike could not be guaranteed. With city police short-staffed, Joseph added, there was little hope for more protection from law enforcement. Other factors included new construction around and above the venue, as well as additional safety concerns presented by parking woes, with the venue's fire exit as well as its entrance frequently being blocked by cars. The woes affecting London's nightlife are not limited to the gay scene. Time Out pointed to a recent study that showed 35 independent nightlife venues are lost each week. I think this speaks to a lot of things. I mean, as far as independent nightlife venues being lost, to just how small businesses continue to struggle and being taken over and pushed out by larger corporations. But I also want to say for our queer community, it's so difficult to find a space where we can be safe and we can be ourselves. And a lot of times that centers around alcohol and club and that kind of thing. And I think that's still important, you know. I think it's good that we're seeing the rise in more alternatives for people to gather, but not at the expense of losing everything else that we have, you know?
Yeah.
And it's also to see that it was one of London's historic gay bars, because like you said, you know, it is a trend for clubs to go 1 week and then it's gone the next week, and here 1 month and it's gone the next month. But that particular club being there so long, it's like a staple in the community, and everyone knew that they could just go there and, like you said, feel safe, you know? Yeah,
that was the part that stuck out to me. Being a little bit older than most of the people at the...
A little bit, girl. I'm sorry. We're not going to lie on
a little
today.
bit.
Go ahead. He said a little bit.
You know, it was the safe place. I mean, back when I was a young professional in the 80s, you couldn't be out. And you had to sneak from bar to bar at night after the sun went down, and you were hoping that nobody saw you because you could get fired or you could get... And so it was like, but once you got through the door, you knew you were okay. For a little while, you were okay. I don't think much has changed as far as finding those safe places, because they're talking about violence outside of the club. So it's still not safe for us just outside to walk down the street. That's a problem. I think I would like to see if somebody can do something about saving that space. And I don't know. I think it's too important. I think, where do people go then?
I mean, if you got the money, go ahead.
I think that's what we're talking about here. I think we're talking about money. And we're seeing the world after a pandemic go into this sort of economic flux where I'm going to say it, where we've been lied to. Most people are struggling. Most small businesses are struggling. Corporations are taking over, and those who have don't want to give to those who have not. And so now we're seeing this not only out in the U.S., but we're seeing this outside of the U.S. in our international queer brothers and sisters losing venues. So it's not just here that we're losing venues, and we're all on dollars and cents. So capitalism is really roaring its head right now, and we're feeling the pressure of it, for sure.
Absolutely.
Next, let's clear up gay culture. Webster's word of the year draws on what LGBTQ plus is all about. In an age of deep fakes and post-truth, an artificial intelligence rose, and Elon Musk turned Twitter into X. The Merriam-Webster word of the year for 2023 is authentic. Authentic cuisine, authentic voice, authentic self. Sounds like me, authentic self. Lookups for the word are routinely heavy on the dictionary company site, but were boosted to new heights throughout the year. Talking to the Associated Press in an exclusive interview, Peter Sokolowski said that lookups for the authentic word were boosted to new heights throughout the year. Sokolowski and his team don't delve into why people head to dictionaries and websites in search of specific words. Rather, they chase the data on lookup spikes and world events that correlate. This time around, there were no particularly huge boosts at any given time, but a constancy to the increased interest in authentic. This was the year of artificial intelligence, but also a moment when ChatGPT maker OpenAI suffered a leadership crisis. Taylor Swift and Prince Harry chased after authenticity in their words and deeds. At February's World Government Summit in Dubai, Elon Musk urged the heads of companies, politicians, ministers, and other leaders to speak authentically on social media by running their own accounts. Whew, that's a lot of authentic.
You did.
Oh my goodness.
Great.
Well, the only thing I can say about that is that, I know this year I have said, I'm living my authentic truth. I am living my authentic self 1,000 times, it feels like. Yeah. So I can imagine that. I can see why the word is being used so much.
Our community is under attack in a lot of different ways and a lot of different places. But I think human beings, deep down, they want that authenticity. And they respect it and they honor it. A lot of times our politics is really separate from how people are living.
Right.
And people love their trans children, and their parents are fighting, and is like gay even a thing anymore? Like, people go home with their partners and with their Christmas, and so it's like society has moved, politics has not. People are searching, and they're searching and they're looking for that truth.
Yeah. Because they're still looking to feel. Authentic things are feeling.
That's
you
right.
feel when you feel authentic. Now, I don't know how Elon Musk got up in this story talking about he's some type of example of authenticity, or even Taylor Swift. Girl. But authenticity brings about a feeling. It brings about, the only way to love is through authenticity. So when we're talking about the LGBTQ plus community, I think because we search for a love so deep within ourselves in order to, and we express it, we portray it, we live it, we breathe it. And so therefore, that's why we are so under attack right now, because there's so much fake, there's so much deep fake in the world that is going on. And that fakeness can't stand authenticity. And the mask always slips when authenticity shows up in the room.
Am I slipping? Hold up. I'm sorry, hold up. I tried the powder. Well, as a drag queen, I'm obviously very into authenticity. Like, this hair is authentically growing out my scalp.
Can I borrow?
You can't, because it's literally, right, I can shave it off. This is authentically my waist size. Ooh. And I authentically look like Angela Bassett right now. So.
Come on. I agree. You giving us, what's that show called?
That's funny.
What's love got to do with it?
What's love got to do? There we go.
Stay authentic, everybody. Okay.
Next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. 7 years and nothing to show for it as One Pulse Foundation abruptly closes down as millions of dollars are wasted. Orlando's Pulse nightclub became the center of the news universe on June 12, 2016, when a shooter entered the club and murdered 49 members of our LGBTQ plus community. Eddie Sotomayor, the director of the RuPaul's Drag Race cruise, was the first name announced to the world. He works for our Hotspots Happening Out anchor, Al Ferguson. Al has told many stories of that night and that day. The mass shooting was the largest in American history as of that date. A year later, the One Pulse Foundation was formed to create scholarships, memorialize the nightclub site, and build a museum community center that would ensure those lost and the effects of the entire community were never forgotten. That was more than 7 years ago. This week, all of that came to an end when One Pulse abruptly announced in social media as an offense that it would close. The Pulse owner is gone. Foundation Executive Director Deborah Bowie resigns and phone calls go unanswered. Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, had been in conversation to help a struggling One Pulse Foundation as recently as October, to have a series of interviews at the studio and host a community support event in Wilton Manors. Multiple excuses were provided and narrow parameters provided to be able to support the foundation. In the official social media announcement, the foundation said, quote, "Good intentions are not enough," end quote, as an apparent attack from the foundation on Pulse Club site owner Barbara Pomas. For years, reports indicated that Pomas would donate the property to the foundation, and in 2023, it was revealed she had asked the foundation to pay millions for the site. She resigned from the foundation in April. The city of Orlando purchased the site from the ownership group last month. The foundation also said the closure was also, quote, unanticipated challenges, end quote. Queer News Tonight and Al Ferguson have spoken to a number of key Pulse survivor family and friends to discuss the closure. The top sentiment expressed by sources reflects that millions were raised for the foundation with little tangible results. Pulse Families and Survivors for Justice is an organization that represents many of Pulse survivors and families who celebrated the news. The group has been longtime critics of the foundation, calling for transparency and accusing it of profiting off a mass shooting. On X, formerly known as Twitter, that group posted a statement saying, quote, "For years, we have criticized the One Pulse Foundation for exploiting and harming us. They never fulfilled any of their 3 changing mission statements. While we are grateful they are shutting their doors, we still demand a forensic audit so they are held accountable to their donors and to taxpayers for the millions wasted." This is a developing story that Queer News Tonight will follow closely. Girl, the tea on this is disgusting. How are you, I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. How are you robbing from people who wanted to memorialize an event like this? We were also jarred by this horrific event. We were scared. I couldn't leave the house. I was working in a nightclub at the time down in Florida. I couldn't leave the house. I was like, I'm not safe going to any queer space right now. This meant a lot for the entire community. And for you to piggyback off that and basically rob us, specifically those directly impacted, the families and friends, but the whole community to rob us and then just vanish and disappear, and then throw some like shady side comments on Twitter and stuff. Girl, no. That's not how you handle that. Y'all too grown to be acting like that and robbing us. If you that broke, get a job.
You know, they made a quote about unintended consequences, something like that.
Mess.
But
Challenges.
unintended challenges, and I get, I'm really thinking they're gonna find a few more unintended challenges coming their way,
Like the law.
Well, because Congress has made that site, the United States Congress, signed by the President of the United States, made that site a national treasure, so that this story would never be forgotten, so that this story will always be told, so that we can have safe spaces. You can't just put a little blurb on social media and walk away from the United States government.
Nope.
Yeah.
So their unintended
Challenges.
are going to get a lot more challenging.
And I mean, but honestly though, I would rather have, rather than I mean, we need a memorial, but I would rather have gun control laws.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing to prevent this from happening? Make into the state of Florida, they're making it even easier.
Was that one of their mission statements?
I don't know.
The changing one.
I don't know, but I know a lot of people think that it would have been great to have a memorial for those people.
Yeah.
But I think if some of that money that was used to do this could have gone towards gun laws and lobbying for gun laws, I think that would have been a bigger deal.
Well, clearly there were some other things on the list that the family of those who were lost in the tragedy did not get accomplished. So for them to be praising this closing says, it screams loud in the street.
When you think of the millions of dollars, and when you think about post-traumatic stress and depression, and I have spoken to many survivors over the years, and met with many survivors over the years working in healthcare, and not everybody in that club that night had health insurance. Not everybody in that club had a car so that they can get back and forth to therapy. There's so many ways that you can be supportive. And I don't know the word for when you just take people's money, don't do the honorable thing.
Robbery.
For the community. And then just
extortion, thief.
Nasty.
You like the extortion?
I like the extortion.
I believe that this story is going to
Yeah.
go on
Trash.
and on for a while. I'm sure Happening Out Television is not going to let that story
Hell no.
People are going to be watching, and we'll be following that story.
That part.
Well, next, let's queer up gay culture. Holidays launch as 77-year young Cher and Dolly step aside Mariah. The holidays got off to a roaring start. Two LGBTQ plus icons literally roared on separate Thanksgiving Day performances. The holidays have been traditionally the exclusive domain of LGBTQ plus icon Mariah Carey, and her All I Want for Christmas may take on new meaning this year as she finally has competition. First was the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Cher was aggressively promoted for a performance to close the 97th annual event just before Santa Claus. Cher has released a new Christmas album called Simply Christmas. It's the first Cher release in more than 5 years and has collaborations with Cyndi Lauper, Stevie Wonder, Michael Bublé, Tyga, and Darlene Love. Her performance Thanksgiving morning was a gay-inspired dance recording called DJ Play a Christmas Song. It was like a rare concert moment for the parade as countless stars came just to watch her perform. Andy Cohen was even interviewed live by the Today Show as he said he came for the Cher concert. Cher, frankly, was stunning. And there was not a single hint that she was in the 44-degree weather and was 77 years young. The day's theme of holiday royalty continued as Dolly Parton performed at the Thanksgiving halftime show of the Dallas Cowboys versus Washington Commanders. While no one can remember the score or even who won, everyone remembers Dolly. She dressed as Dallas Cowboys cheerleader and wowed the national TV audience with Jolene, 9 to 5, and even a cover of We Will Rock You. Again, she was stunning, and you could hardly imagine she was 77 years young. I really do like this story since it is lighthearted with all that we've talked about today. And I mean, they coming for my Mariah. They coming from my goddess, okay?
They can't run that fast. They definitely cannot.
They can't come from Mariah.
They can't come from Mariah.
When you talk about what is your grandmother doing, right? Do you see Dolly in that outfit?
Did you see Dolly?
in that outfit?
You know, I love me some Dolly.
Me too.
I love me some Dolly, and I love me some Cher. But y'all really tried it with coming for my Mariah, okay? Christmas belongs to Mariah.
The interesting thing that's not in this story, but that happened that day, is that Cheryl Lee Ralph played Mrs. Santa Claus.
Oh.
And it's the first time that a black woman was ever Mrs. Santa
Yes,
Claus.
can we
during the
add
parade.
to the story?
And so we had Cher, and we had Cheryl Lee
Diva
Ralph, and
Cheryl
we had
Lee Ralph.
lots of stars and celebrities. I think it brings us into the holiday spirit,
Yeah.
the way that it should. I think, like, wow, how, for a guy that's a little bit older than some of the people,
You and that word a little.
it's very inspiring to me to see people 77 years young still living their best life.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Right? They're not asking anybody's permission.
Yeah.
They're coming out with new records. They're putting out
They
sexy
coming out in
outfits.
cheerleading outfits.
Yeah, exactly.
And boobs.
And I love that. That's a
legs.
life lesson for all of us. Right?
Yeah.
Basically, Dolly just said, Mariah, honey, how that song go? Me and Mariah. Like me and a pacifier. They said, no, baby. Dolly's like, baby, can you come get some of this?
Yes, she
The
did.
original.
Yes, she did.
The original.
Yes, she did. That's fantastic. Okay. As the year comes to an end, Greater Fort Lauderdale offers New Year's Eve celebrations for every taste. Take in the Mermaid Show at Be Ocean. Sip champagne under the stars in style at Rooftop at 1 West Las Olas. Or dance the night away at the world-famous Manor in Wilton Manors. No matter how you choose to ring in the new year, you can find something to do at visitlauderdale.com. Visit Lauderdale, everyone under the sun.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m. For New Year's, I'm going to 1 West Las Olas. I've decided tonight. We finished tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Australia again proves why us gays love Aussie firefighters in 2024 calendar. As the year winds down, it's time to once again peruse the latest batch of Australian firefighters' calendars and choose which one, or maybe all, we want to hang on our wall in 2024. For over 30 years, the Australian Firefighters calendar has been bringing abs and good cheer into homes, and for a good cause. Since its beginnings in 1993, the project has raised $3.4 million for charitable organizations like the Children's Hospital Foundation and the Safe Haven Animal Rescue. So basically, you can help kids and cute critters in need, and you get to ogle the bodies of real and muscular firemen. It's a win-win. No wonder these are touted as the most popular calendars in the world.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up LGBTQ plus civil rights. Hungary takes EU cover with citizen survey on LGBTQ plus rights. Hungary's government on Friday released a set of questions for an informal survey it will send to voters on several divisive issues, including migration, LGBTQ plus rights, and support for Ukraine, including a proposal to block further European Union assistance to Kyiv, unless the bloc releases frozen funds to Hungary. The survey, which the government calls a national consultation, contains 11 questions and strikes a combative tone toward the EU, which it accuses of trying to force policies on Hungary. One of the questions is about the EU wanting Hungary to repeal a contentious law that bans the availability of LGBTQ plus content to minors. The survey warns of aggressive LGBTQ plus propaganda targeting children.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Nebraska gets rainbow painted house at daughter's request. A house turned apartment complex is bringing smiles to lots of people on a Nebraska block thanks to its vibrant rainbow paint job and the owner's young daughters who chose the hues. Though the structure displays the colors of the LGBTQ plus flag, the color palette was chosen by the apartment building owner, Ryan Bassey, at the request of his 3 daughters, 5-year-old Cecilia, 7-year-old Louise, and 9-year-old Josephine. According to the house owner, the girls do not understand that the curls symbolize something. For them, it was fun and the coolest thing ever. Plus, this place is right by an elementary school, so lots of kids walk by with smiles on their faces when they see the colors.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up politics. White House condemns Marjorie Taylor Greene's transphobic comments on Rachel Levine. The White House and LGBTQ plus rights advocates have strongly criticized Georgia U.S. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene's incendiary and offensive remarks about Rachel Levine, Assistant Secretary for Health and the first out transgender official confirmed by the U.S. Senate to an administration position, and a proposal to reduce Levine's salary to $1. Greene's legislative stunt, marked by consistent misgendering, has sparked widespread condemnation in a political environment increasingly antagonistic towards LGBTQ plus officials. A White House spokesperson has expressed support for Rachel Levine, saying the Biden-Harris administration stands with Admiral Rachel Levine. Secretary of Health and Human Services Xavier Becerra, among others, also showed support to Levine through social media.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up sports. The NFL reaffirms support of Trevor Project and LGBTQ plus inclusion. The National Football League and the Trevor Project have renewed their partnership through 2024 with the intent of providing educational and advocacy training to NFL staff on LGBTQ plus issues. As part of the partnership, which first began in 2021, the NFL will donate $100,000 to the Trevor Project, whose services include a crisis hotline, which LGBTQ plus youth can call anytime they're feeling anxious, depressed, isolated, or suicidal, and talk to a trained counselor. In return, the Trevor Project will provide LGBTQ plus inclusive programming and training for NFL staff and players, just as the organization provides similar educational programs to other groups with whom it partners.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience, watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Paul Thomas, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Mateo Ventura Bruer, Adrianna Tender, Bonnie Builder, and Jamaal Starks. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you
Good
night.
night.